important leadership that you've been providing in our region. The United States is our biggest trading partner. And we'd like to think of the amount of trade that also the U.S. benefits from in the Caribbean. And so we're very much looking forward to these discussions today and seeing how we can enhance the relationship to our mutual benefits.
Very good. Is at both ends of the Panama Canal. China's running the Panama Canal, and they come to see this Biden, this guy who should never have been allowed even to run for president.
Where Chinese Premier Li Keqiang has met with Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Li Keqiang welcomed Holness outside the Great Hall of the People. He said the two countries have respected each other and treated each other equally since they established diplomatic ties nearly 50 years ago. Holness said Jamaica is ready to actively engage in the Belt and Road Initiative and strengthen cooperation with China on trade, infrastructure and climate change. After the meeting, the two leaders witnessed the signing of several agreements.
Hello, Black brothers and sisters. I hope you're all doing fine. Now, there is something happening in Jamaica and the whole Caribbean, and I feel like this should be spoken out. Now, we've seen the Chinese government, Russian government, and the US government all showing interest in Jamaica. And you will ask yourself, why are they so much interested in this Caribbean island? Why do all want to dominate this Caribbean island? So let's watch this video and see whatever Donald Trump has to say about this and what is really happening to our Black brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We're honored to be with some terrific people that have been friends of mine, in many cases friends of mine. They've done a wonderful job in their respective countries, and we'll be talking about many subjects. Trade, we always talk about trade, but we'll also be discussing, I have a feeling, Venezuela. That may come up in our conversation. It's become a very big topic all over the world, Venezuela. And we look forward to spending a lot of time together this afternoon and discussing ways that we can be beneficial to you and you can be beneficial to us. And we very much appreciate your being at Mar-a-Lago. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. If you'd like to say something to the media, maybe we'll start with you.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for extending the invitation to St. Lucia to participate. I want to thank you for the support.
Thank you. Please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Haiti and the United States are two countries that are not only friends, but very close. I am a friend, and Miami is actually less than 2 hours away from our island. And we are here this afternoon. We'll have discussions of good things, things that will be positive for both countries. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. President, for your invitation. We thank you. The Dominican Republic and the United States of America are two important partners. In fact, the United States is our main economic partner, and we are here to discuss issues of the region, and we are here to your avail to collaborate. Thank you.
We look forward to discussions on energy, on trade, but on security as well. We look forward to discussing regional issues to do with the peace and stability of the region and how we can move forward with the prosperity of our people. So we thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm delighted to have been invited here today to discuss certain issues that are of mutual benefit to both of us. The Bahamas, the United States have been our #1 trading partner. We are neighbors. We have great relationship. We will continue to foster such relationship. I know that the meetings and the discussion today will be very productive, and we expect to come out with positive views and feelings. Thank you very much.
I think that'll happen. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, everybody, and we look forward to the discussion. Thank you. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels, and can't let that happen. Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high. And I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of people. Nobody even knows how many people, millions. And they're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this? What a place. What a horrible place. One of the things we're going to do is we've got to fix the election so that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts. They have places where they're still counting votes. President Biden's actions yesterday on offshore drilling, banning offshore drilling, will not stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done immediately. And we will drill, baby, drill. And we're going to be drilling in a lot of other locations. And the energy costs are going to come way down. They'll be brought down to a very low level. And that's going to bring everything else down. That's what caused it to go up, along with the ridiculous spending on the Green New scam. All this money, trillions of dollars. It's like throwing it right out the window, what they're doing. And they're trying to spend so much now. They're just taking money and giving it to anybody that wants it for any project at all, if it's certified under the Green New scam. And they don't work, and it's too expensive. And, they told me that we're going to do everything possible to make this transition to the new administration very smooth. It's not smooth because they're doing that. They're playing with the courts, as you know. They've been playing with the courts for 4 years, probably got me more votes because I got the highest number of votes ever gotten by a Republican, by far, actually, by a lot. And, we had a great election, so I guess it didn't work. But even to this day, they're playing with the courts. They have their friendly judges that like to try and make everybody happy on the Democrat side. It's called lawfare. It's called weaponization of justice, and it's happened at a level nobody's ever seen before. The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do. It was the most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively. It would be the equivalent of substantially over $1 trillion today. We lost 38,000 people. Think of it, 38,000 people, they died from malaria, mosquitoes. They were unable to stop the mosquitoes. They paid people 5 times more to take the job. Many of those people died. We gave it away for $1. But the deal was that, they have to treat us fairly. They don't treat us fairly. They charge more for our ships than they charge for ships of other countries. They charge more for our Navy than they charge for navies of other countries. They laugh at us because they think we're stupid, but we're not stupid anymore. So the Panama Canal is under discussion with them right now. They violated every aspect of the agreement, and they morally violated it also. And they want our help because it's leaking and not in good repair. And they want us to give $3 billion to help fix it. I said, well, why don't you get the money from China? Because China's basically taken it over. China's at both ends of the Panama Canal. China's running the Panama Canal. And they come to see this Biden, this guy who should never have been allowed even to run for president. Of course, she shouldn't have either, because that never happened. I had to be 2 people, not 1. But they want $3 billion to fix the Panama Canal that's run by China and makes a lot of money, China. One of the most profitable structures ever built, because you have ships lined up back to Florida, frankly, and they just keep going through, and the numbers are staggering, $500,000 to $1 million a ship. and they took it away from us, meaning we gave it to them for $1. But not going to happen. What they've done to us, they've charged us, they've overcharged our ships, overcharged our Navy. And then when they need repair money, they come to the United States to put it up. We get nothing. Those days are over. We are not treated well, as you know, by Canada. Canada is subsidized to the tune of about $200 billion a year, plus other things. They don't essentially have a military. They have a very small military. They rely on our military. It's all fine, but, you know, they got to pay for that. It's very unfair. I have so many great friends. One of them is the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I said, run for prime minister. You'll win it'll take 2 seconds. But he said, well, am I going to run for prime minister or governor? You tell me. I said, I don't know. Let's make it governor. I like it better. But no, something's going to have to be done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels, and can't let that happen. Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change, because we do most of the work there, and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody, but, you know, they have to, it takes two to tango.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. A big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that. That's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be much worse than it is right now.
They can never join NATO.
Well, my view is that it was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal, and then Biden broke it. They had a deal which would have been a satisfactory deal to Ukraine and everybody else, but that Biden said, no, you have to be able to join NATO. And that's always been, and nobody knows more.
Now, we've seen a lot of big countries, including Russia, US, and China, trying to get access to Jamaica, and maybe trying to control that island, or maybe trying to dominate the Caribbean through Jamaica. And there is need for us to talk about this, because why should big or major superpowers of the world try to control an island in the Caribbean? Why not other big countries around the world? Now, it is very important for us actually to know, because this is raising a lot of eyebrows, because this is actually taking us to by a storm. And so many people will love to know, why are these countries so obsessed with Jamaica? And just to begin with, it is good to know that major imports in the Caribbean are done through Jamaica. Now, if you want your goods or your company to dominate in the Caribbean, so there is need for you to have a good relationship or a bilateral relationship between your country and Jamaica. So in this case, you must coerce Jamaica in a way, because so many other countries have been interested in this one Caribbean country, and there is need for you to come and coerce Jamaica so that you might get yourself into that island and maybe spread your activities or your products later on to other Caribbean islands. Now, there is need to talk between the war between US and Russia and China. This is a very economic war, and there is no bad war such that includes the economy, because the economy is everything. It controls everything. It is the livelihood of so many other people living in the Caribbean and outside the Caribbean. Now, we've been seeing the US trying to complain how China is trying to hack phones that are being used in the Caribbean and in Jamaica just to get in control, to know, like they are trying to spy on Jamaicans and the Caribbeans. And we might want to ask ourselves, why is China so obsessed with trying to spy on Jamaicans, and why will the US government in response be so aggressive on this matter? We saw the US ambassador to Jamaica trying to talk with emotions that even his own phone was being spied on by the Chinese companies. Now, I don't think if at all Jamaican government should allow such a thing. Even if you enter in a contract or in a deal with another government and you have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding on how things are going to be done, I think the security and the privacy of your people must become a priority. And you should not allow, whether it is China, whether it is Russia, whether it is the US, to spy on whatever your people are doing. This is how countries have ended up in war. This is how countries have ended up losing their sovereignty. This is how countries have ended up losing their economy to other countries. We've seen this happening in the Middle East, in Afghanistan, and so many other countries. When the Afghanistan government was so weak in that the US had to spy on the movement of its own people, they lost their independence, they lost their sovereignty. And since then, crime has dominated that country. And since then, they are now using the larger part of their budget for military purposes, like to protect their country, instead of building roads and maybe enhancing services to the public. Now, the public has to pay huge amounts of taxes, which are later on used for security purposes. We don't want to see countries like Jamaica falling to the same trap where Afghanistan have been for the longest time, where Pakistan was almost falling for the same trap, where countries in the Middle East are almost falling to the same trap. And in this case, you lose your very vital information to another country, of which they can dominate, and whenever you resist, they have control of your major sectors in the government or in the country. And in this case, do you still have your sovereignty? You don't. However much Jamaica must be important to both the US, China, and Russia, I think the US, the Jamaican government being led by the Honorable Prime Minister and wholeness should be responsible and not allow any type of infringement in their own country. It is so sad, and he will go down as the worst leader if he will leave his country to be dominated by other powers and lose its sovereignty. And in this case, do you know whatever the foreign countries do to your country? They sponsor crimes, mass shootings, terrorists, so that you might depend on them for aids, so that your economy will keep on collapsing, and you'll have no otherwise than to be forced to sign some malicious contracts with them. And they take control of your airports, they take control of your major infrastructures, they take control of your own country, in that there is no contract can be signed by a government and its citizens, let's say maybe the engineers of that same country, without the understanding of another foreign country. And this is why Africa is falling. It's because we had some very greedy leaders who sold our conscience and their conscience too to the oppressor. Then our phones have IMS that are being spied on. You buy a phone and the government can spy on you, and some other foreign authorities can spy on you, which is very dangerous. And this one leads to dictatorship. This one leads to you lose your sovereignty, and this one has led to crimes in Africa and so many other parts in the Middle East. And now let's not see the same thing happening in the Caribbean. Let's not see the same thing happening in Jamaica. I think this is the time Black Americans and African Americans should come out and try to speak for their brothers and sisters, because if the same thing goes on and on, we are gonna lose it. And when the Caribbean, which is dominated by the larger number of people in that part of the world, is being dominated by blacks, who are there as a result of the slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, which took place some years back, which I do not want to talk about it right now. But I feel like there is need for other people in the world to see whatever is happening and come out and talk. I would really love to see Donald Trump not interfering with Jamaica and the Caribbean, and focusing more on building the US and leaving alone other countries in Africa and in the Caribbean, because this is the 21st century. They have taken everything from the Caribbean. They have exhausted the mineral resources in Africa. What else do they want? We've seen brain drain happening, in that our countries cannot have good experts in major fields. So whenever we have engineers, whenever we have good doctors, because they believe in Africa, no country can pay them well, they try to go and look for greener pastures on the other side of the world. And that's how we've been missing on good services. We've been missing on some important personnel who could have rather delivered some good infrastructure to our countries, to the Western countries. And I feel like this is the time to speak about it. If we don't talk about the mess that is happening in our countries right now, I'm sure by the time we start talking about it, we will have no solution. So the solution is with us. The solution is with the government that we voted in. The solution is with the leaders, the head of government. They either sell their conscience, sell their morals to the Western countries, to the US, to Russia and China, or stay put and say no to being a puppet of the Western countries and China. We still can do it better, my brothers and sisters. We have the numbers we have the population, the GDP is not looking bad. So why should we still want to be dominated by other foreign countries whereby they have their embassies in our countries, and their military still runs in our country with the military armors and all that. It is not necessary. It is the 21st century. We are not being colonized again. So there is need for Jamaicans, for Black Americans, for Africans to stand put and talk whatever should be talked about, and say the truth. The truth will set us free. We speak the truth to power. We are not shaken with their thoughts or with whatever they think about us. Let's not actually capitalize on their negative side of our world. Thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this video. I appreciate. One love.